Well, howdy YouTube family, it's Bolt CRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. Now this topic today I get asked constantly. I have to say this is the one question that people ask me most frequently on Instagram. They will say, what do I need to do to get into CRNA school as far as the interview goes? Like, how do I nail the interview? How do I make sure that they pick me? That's a great question. Today, I'm gonna talk about the top 5 things that I wished I knew and I wished you guys knew when you go in for interviews for CRNA school. Quick interruption, guys. I want to give a shout out to all the subscribers on the channel. Everyone subscribing and liking these videos, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscription button, hit that like button. I want to do a special shout out though for the members in the channel. So if you go over and join the membership plans on the channel, you guys are really what's keeping this going, especially the Ketamine Kings on that level. If you join the Ketamine Kings level once a month, I give you guys a shout out in the videos. So really quickly, I want to shout out Talia Reyes, thank you, John Pender, Thomas Alberti, Jose Ochoa, The Cute 193, sorry that's your screen name, I don't see your actual name here. Abdul Jabbar Kalfos, Taji Dixon, Samantha Prather, Heather Vega, and Dan Angelo De La Cruz. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the channel members. Let's get back to the content. Now, the number 5 thing that I wish everyone did, which makes sense, but you would be shocked how many people don't seem to do this. Go in prepared. This is simple. This is a basic step that you should know to do, but there's quite a few people who don't do this. By being prepared, I mean you need to be signing up for mock interviews. I offer mock interviews on my membership plan. Go over to my memberships on the YouTube page. Do some mock interviews. If you don't do it with me, do it with your friends, your family, somebody else. You need somebody quizzing you and talking to you and giving you feedback on how you're coming off in an interview setting. You also need to be doing things like seeking out videos like this one, which luckily you have. So good, check mark on that one. You're preparing by going through YouTube, online resources. There's so many resources now in 2020, 2021 that you can do to prepare yourself. I didn't have those resources many years ago, and definitely people 20 years ago didn't have those resources. So now that you do, take advantage of them. Another thing, talk to current CRNA students in the program or CRNAs who have graduated from that program and ask them about the professors, what kind of questions they need to be asking, what things the professors are really focusing on, usually in an interview, pet peeves that certain professors may have. These will give you valuable information so you don't do those things or say those things and rub someone the wrong way. The number 4 thing that you should all be doing, you need to be connecting with the administration and the professors that will be on the review board selecting students. You need to be connecting with these guys beforehand. They need to have seen your face and know your name before the day of the interview. Most programs hold something called like an open house, where once a year they allow people who are prospective students who would like to come into the program, they allow them onto campus, they let them see the sim lab, they let them see the human dissection lab, like my program had a plastination lab that they would show students around in, and the professors are often very proud of these things. They worked hard to maintain these things and to provide this for their students. They're proud to show them off to other people who are coming in, so they want to meet you. You shake their hand, you talk to them, you make a good impression, they remember you. It shows that you're invested in their program. So when they see you come in for the actual interview day, they already know like this person took out their time to show up to the program in advance, maybe a couple months ago, and talked to me and has pursued us since then and is now here in person interviewing. Like they're a go-getter and they're dedicated to this program. The number 3 thing you need to do, make sure your application stands out. Now I can do a whole other video on this, and I probably will because this is another subtopic. A lot of people ask me about how they can make their application stand out. The Reader's Digest version for this point is your application needs to show you. It needs to have some personality to it. It needs to mean something that connects them to you. Of course you need your CCRN, and of course you need a good GPA, and of course you need your critical care experience, but remember everybody applying is pretty much going to have those things. The baseline requirements they ask you to provide for the program, that's just the baseline requirement. Most everyone will have those. So you need to do something else that stands out. Whether that means you do mission trips in Kenya because your family's from Kenya and you have a connection back to that country and you go back and do medical mission trips there. Whether it means you play the piano for homeless people at a homeless shelter because you love music and you feel like music therapy helps people in difficult parts of their lives. Whatever it is, what I did, I helped in a local community clinic that was free for people who were poverty stricken and people in my community who I knew were so poor they couldn't afford anything and they couldn't even get treatment at primary care. They could come into us. I would triage them and I would try and give them inhalers for asthma that they couldn't afford to buy and things like that. So that was what I did. That was something that was connected to me. It was part of the person who owned the clinic was the youth group leader of my church, and I knew them through that, and so I was connected to my church in that manner. So it showed some connection in some of my own personality and what drove me, and obviously I did it for free, so it means I was interested in helping people whether they could pay me or not, and they're looking for that kind of stuff. They don't want to see the bare bones basic application information. They want to see what makes you tick and what makes you a person. The number 2 thing that everyone needs to be doing is edit yourself. This is becoming a pet peeve of mine. Now, some of you may say, hey, Dr. Bolt, you get on here and you talk and talk and talk and you say all this information and sometimes you ramble. Yes, that's true. I do that for my YouTube channel. I would not do that in a professional interview setting. And also caveat, I edit myself as well. So what you see is the edited version of my ramble. But when you're coming into a professional setting, sitting in front of professors who maybe are interviewing 200 people that year, and they interview these people every year, and they're hearing very similar answers year after year after year, you need to edit down some of the things you're saying. Don't ramble on, don't waste their time. You have about maybe 15 minutes of their time that they're going to give you to make a big impression and to make them decide, do they want you or do they not want you for their program? So if you go in there and they ask you a question and you start rambling and you get nervous and you're saying, over and over, which is delaying yourself, maybe you slow down. I've noticed some students listen to the tone of my voice. When I slow down and I start speaking like this to you, it's taking so long for me to get my sentence out and get my point across, it's wasting time. And I don't know if it's a nervous thing. It could be a nervous thing for some students. It might be a delaying tactic because you're nervous and you're trying to think of the next sentence you want to say, so you're slowing yourself down. Whatever it is, it doesn't come off good. And so when I've done mock interviews with students and I've noticed this, I tell them at the end of the interview, I say, this is something you need to work on. When somebody is slowing down their words or they're adding in a ton of ums, and they're stopping and pausing, or they're chasing rabbit trails and giving me a whole bunch of details and information that's not relevant, that isn't part of the core point that you should be getting across. When you're on the interview day, you're wasting their time, and they're not going to be happy about you wasting their time. They're stressed, they're tired, they're also teaching classes at the same time they're taking time out to do these interviews. They do this every year. They're hearing this over and over and over again. They don't want you to waste their time. So if they ask you why you want to be a CRNA, don't go on a crazy rabbit trail and talk about your nurse who's in NP school and your mama who was a bedside nurse at one point and your dad who's a banker and the one time you stubbed your toe in 2nd grade and you knew you wanted pain relief the rest of your life. Don't do that. You need to shorten it down to like 5 or 6 sentences of like core information of why you want to be a CRNA. It needs to be heartfelt and it needs to make sense, but it doesn't need to be a whole bunch of extraneous information. And you'll find, relating back to my first point about preparing, you'll find that these rambling type answers, you can remedy a lot of that by doing mock interviews and talking to somebody like myself who's going to say, hey, you just spent 2 minutes giving me an answer that you could have given the answer in 30 seconds for. So let's figure out how to cut a minute and a half off of what you just said to me, because 30 seconds is what you should have told me because I tuned you out a minute and a half ago and I heard nothing that you said. All right, number one thing that I think students should know before interviewing for CRNA school and that I think will give you a major advantage and major points to get you into the program is remember that you are a salesperson. That may sound funny to you because you're gonna say, I'm a nurse. Well, I'm not a salesperson. In this moment, in this interview day, you are a salesperson. The thing you are selling is you. Now, I'm not trying to say lie, and you're not trying to be like a sleazy used car salesman, but you are trying to put forward your very best version of yourself. You want them to see the best of you in that moment because they've got 15 minutes to decide if it's going to be you or this other person, or that other person or the other person. The competition is hot. So if you're not coming in there with your A game and you're not selling them charisma, personality, polite, kind, good handshake, good verbal speaking skills, good application information, which you should have nailed down before that, a way to answer the questions quickly and appropriately and to the point and interesting and engaging and making eye contact and smiling and not too much smiling though. It's a balancing act. And it also goes back to when I say mock interviews are important because it gets you comfortable with that feeling. Recording yourself speaking into a camera and watching yourself back and looking at your physical verbal cues. If you're using your hands too much, if you're touching things and grabbing your face and doing stuff like that, trust me, as a YouTuber, you really start to realize every little idiosyncratic, every little thing that you do that's weird or annoying or something, you realize it pretty quick as a YouTuber. You need to be getting used to doing that as a regular person before this interview because you need to not do those things during the interview day. You need to come in, you need to sell, you need to be charisma, you need to be polite, you need them to like you. This panel of professors are going to be people, they're human beings just like you. They're thinking when they're sitting across from you and you're talking, part of what's running through their mind is, do I like this person? Do I want to deal with this person for 60 hours a week for the next 3 years of my life? Is this person someone I want representing me in my program out there in the world doing clinical rotations? Is this somebody who I think is trustworthy, ethical? Do they have a good personality? Can they get along with people? Are they going to be a problem in the classroom? Are they arrogant? Are they going to raise their hand all the time and argue about my test questions and give me trouble as a professor? Am I going to get a bunch of emails from clinical sites about this person that I have to pull them out of clinical sites because they have personality conflict issues? They're going to be thinking about these things. There's a lot of thought process going on when they're trying to select somebody. So you need to be making sure they feel the best way that they can about you. And we're human beings, so there's a lot of things that are not objective. Sometimes it's subjective. Sometimes it's a feeling you get. You want that feeling that you're projecting to them to be a positive, warm, good one. You want to leave that interview. You want them to be thinking, this person, something about them I like. I want them in the program. They meet all the criteria or else you wouldn't have been there in the first place to interview. You want them to want you in the program. So those were my tips. I hope you enjoyed them. Edited myself down a little bit, but not entirely. So don't judge me because my rule 2 says edit yourself. If you're interested in mock interviews, because I mentioned it 100 times in this video, go over to the subscription on my YouTube channel, the memberships, and join up. I'm more than happy to do mock interviews with you guys. If you're just looking for like the study guide that I have created for people who are trying to study and prepare for questions they may ask you in the interview, hit me up over there on the memberships. I offer those for like the cheapest, lowest level. It's like 99 cents or something over there. So join up on that level if that's all you need. But I would love to help you guys out further. I know that this is a much requested video, so I really hope that this gives people a leg up. Let me know if there's anything that you did during your interview that you felt like gave you an advantage above some of the other students that I didn't mention. I want to hear down below. Make sure and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, that's Bolt out.